I love the Tolkienverse. I have immensely enjoyed every one of Peter Jackson's movies, and I look forward to the final part of the Hobbit trilogy this December. It is fascinating that I have not yet played a Lord of the Rings video game that I truly find incredible. Until now. Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor is amazing. The main plotline grabbed me the moment I started playing. The game starts off by introducing us to a Gondorian ranger named Talion and his family. I quickly found myself to begin to feel for his family, and then, shortly after, we see them get brutally executed by the Black Hand. Talion and his wife and son all get their throats cut. I really do appreciate how Monolith made me care about Talion and his family in such a short span of time. As a player, you play as Talion. He comes back to the land of the living when a wraith by the name of Celebrimbor binds to his soul. The whole game is about Talion's revenge quest. He is hell-bent on killing the Black Hand so that he can finally die and be reunited with his family. At the same time, we slowly learn who exactly Celebrimbor actually is, and why he has brought Talion back to life. I found the unlocking of Celebrimbor's memories to be an awesome part of the plotline. I found myself quite fascinated by the Wraith's backstory. Overall, the story feels relevant to Tolkien's Middle-earth, but Monolith does seem to take some liberties with the lore, which I could see bothering the more dedicated Tolkien fans. I like certain aspects of the story, but the plot does sort of feel a little bit underdeveloped at times. My main criticism is the way they handle some of the villain characters. The big boss is established to be the Black Hand right from the get-go. The Black Hand is one of 3 Black Captains though. The Hammer, the Tower, and the Black Hand are all big boss Black Captains that the player is tasked with slaying. But only the Black Hand is really discussed at length in the story. I just wish that these villains were developed as characters a bit better. When you actually fight the Black Captains, it also doesn't seem to be particularly challenging to defeat them. Often, lower tier orc captains of Sauron's army that you are tasked with facing felt more developed as characters than the Black Captains. This is kind of disappointing. It would have been nice to see the Black Captains somehow incorporated into the Nemesis system. The story has some great elements, but at times it falls short. The many elements of the gameplay are extremely well built. This game is so fun to play. The combat mechanics are awesome. The combat feels like a mix between the Arkham series and the Assassin's Creed series. The countering system can be quite the challenge when you are surrounded by many enemies that are attacking you all at once. There are so many great combat upgrades that you can get in the game as you accumulate experience points. The more combat upgrades you obtain, the more creative and unique you start to play. Now, let's discuss the feature that makes the game the most unique game that I have played this year. The incredible Nemesis system. The Nemesis system builds named villains as you play the game. Since Talion is undead, he can die and respawn, and it actually makes sense to the story. In most games, the respawn represents nothing. When you die and come back, you are generally meant to forget that the death ever happened. But in this game, dying means something. Every time you are killed, the Uruks of Sauron's army react accordingly. You, the player, directly affects the Nemesis system and the game. Sauron's army is composed of a hierarchy of captains. The 5 war chiefs sit on the top tier. You meet captains on the fields of battle constantly, and they all have their own level, certain personalities, weaknesses, and strengths. The system is fantastic. It makes every player's play session unique. You often find yourself facing Nemesis Uruks that are slippery as hell, or are difficult to defeat. They frustrate you a little bit, but in the end, when you finally defeat them, you feel all the more triumphant for doing so. Oftentimes, you find yourself building your own little relationships with certain captains. As you play, the Nemesis system creates awesome little battle stories to accompany Shadow of Mordor's main plotline. This is a truly next-generation game. The Nemesis system would most likely not be able to run on last-generation consoles, especially with all the Uruk AI on the screen at any one time in the various fight sequences. The number of AI is amazing and truly contributes enormously to the immersive quality of the game. And the lands of Mordor look great. The landscapes are quite bleak at times, but there really is a certain beauty within all that bleakness. The character animations are superb as well. Talion looks really awesome. The way his cloak sways in the wind as he runs is ridiculously true to life. I also adore the fact that every orc captain has a unique look to them. They all have features that make them easily identifiable. Shadow of Mordor is a gorgeous game, no doubt about it. With absolutely amazing gameplay and aesthetic, Monolith Productions has created a truly memorable gaming experience. Shadow of Mordor's main plotline does leave a little bit to be desired, but the incredible Nemesis system builds up interesting smaller narratives that complement this main story in a very player-specific way. The Nemesis system's complexity and uniqueness is truly worth buying the game for alone. Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor is an awesome, truly next-generation